The story we will hear today comes from the land of the Gunai Kurnai and Bunyarong people. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land.
From a wine region perspective, there's lots of beautiful cellar doors that are and businesses that are they're family owned and operated. It makes a very special experience. I think just the whole package of being a bit quieter. It's not so busy and hectic down here, so you can really relax and get out into the country and enjoy the natural beauty and the gorgeous offerings.
This is Over a Glass. I'm Shanteh Wale. In today's episode, we are staying in the West Gippsland as we chat to winemaker Kirsten Hardiker of Cannibal Creek Wines. Only an hour drive from Melbourne, Cannibal Creek is a must-stop destination to experience their classic and modern wines alongside some truly delightful dining in Tynong North. Hi Kirsten, thanks for joining me.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
It's lovely to speak with you again. It's been a little while since we've chatted. We probably should start with the name Cannibal Creek before anyone gets a little bit spooked and wonders what you're doing down there. Please tell me who you are, where you're located, and how did the name come about?
Yeah, so Patrick and myself own and run Cannibal Creek Vineyard in Tynong North, and we're just, as you said, just less than an hour out of Melbourne. The name... There's a few stories, none of them gory, but there's the most likely thing is there's an Indigenous name that means his or her forehead, and it sounds like cannibal. And we've got the Cannibal Hill to the east of us, and Cannibal Creek is actually our eastern boundary. So it's very much a local geographical name. And I think from this Indigenous word, an early leaseholder called this the Cannibal Run, and the name was just corrupted over time to Cannibal.
Well, it's certainly easy to remember, and that's always a good thing. Tell me a little bit about where you started in wine, because I do know that at one stage you were both in Margaret River, amazing wine country, but not necessarily making wine over there. So tell me a little bit about how you founded Cannibal Creek.
Yep, so we were actually inland from Margaret River, but part of that region. It's a wonderful, wonderful place. We were there, we were travelling when we were young and just loved it over there and stayed there for 10 years. And when we started a family, at the same time we were there, Patrick's parents moved from the peninsula to Tynong North, and they were just running beef cattle, and they, I think, when we started a family, they were keen to see us come back, and asked whether we'd, be interested in going into a venture here, and if so, what. And of course, coming from that area in WA, we said, well, how about a vineyard? And it sort of went from there. We did some testing of the farm to see whether it would be suitable for vines. And it was, and we moved here in 97 and planted in the spring of 97.
Wow, what were your first impressions coming from an area like Margaret River where you've got, Mediterranean maritime climate and the beach close by, to Gippsland, which is, I imagine, was much wilder, a little more remote? What were your first impressions when you moved there?
Well, I love Gippsland. I always did, because we were, Pat and I met on the peninsula, and I grew up there, so we were familiar with this area, or certainly this end of Gippsland. As you know, it's a huge area, a region or a zone in wine circles. So when we just loved it. I mean, we love to walk and explore, and it's just the natural beauty here is just amazing, from the beaches to the forests, and which is not unlike WA. It's down south. It's that just really beautiful places to walk and visit, and so we took to it very easily.
And I mean, wonderful that your in-laws got on board with saying, yeah, sure, vines is the way to go. Tell me a little bit about those early years. I mean, you had a family to start with, so I can imagine there were plenty of challenges in the early days.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, there's a lot of setup and a lot of time and energy going into, just making sure the vineyard got off to a good start. Patrick was studying viticulture, and we actually did get a crop earlier than expected, but we had some good seasons earlier on, and probably got a bit of a false sense of security that that it was more straightforward than perhaps it is in retrospect, looking back. But yeah, no, we had some challenges, and having a young family, a lot of work setting everything up, and unfortunately Patrick's father passed away a couple of years in, and then his mum we brought her out of the business earlier on so that she could sort of relax, and she actually lives next door, so that worked out well, and we've got on with the business since then. But it did put us into we had to be very pragmatic. So from then on, it was the business needed to support itself. There was no sort of external, no one was working off farm or anything like that. So it did put a lot of pressure on there. But it made, it forced us into making very sensible decisions, and, keeping very much focused on what we were doing. So, yeah.
And tell me, in 98, you planted your 1.5 hectares of Merlot, Sauvignon Blanc and Cabernet Sauvignon. How did you arrive at those varieties, and how has that changed over the course of your time?
I think because when we first looked at what to plant and what styles were suitable for here, what varieties, definitely Pinot and Chardonnay were the main ones. But, we just wanted to experiment a bit. We enjoyed some of the bigger reds as well. Sauvignon Blanc was just, taking off as a variety, and, we thought we'd give it a go, and they've actually all done really well. And the Sauvignon Blanc we've been, recognised for as, by wine writers like Jeremy Oliver as one of the best, the Sauv Blanc. So that was a really good one to try. But after 98, we sort of, stopped the experimenting, and, so we haven't planted any other varietals since then.
The Sauvignon Blanc that I tried before I knew anything about you guys or what you did, I like to go into, especially when I do a cellar door tasting, with my eyes closed a little bit. So I have just my first impressions. But wow, what a showstopper. So elegant, so perfumed and floral. And I'm so glad to see that. It's so nice to be really delightfully surprised, and it is a show-stopping Sauvignon Blanc. But you also make some other very modern and unique wines, as well as your award-winning sparkling and your vin de liqueur. How did they come about?
I think because we had when we set up our winery in 2000, we have a small tasting room on the side of the winery, so we had a lot of visitors over time, and I guess we had these lovely, elegant table wines, but I think I just got the message from a lot of people that people loved a sparkling, or there was a lot of people that loved something a little sweet, And I just thought, just to complete the range, really, the offering. So, and I love a Blanc de Blanc. I love that zesty, fresh, citrusy sort of style, and so we thought we'd go with that. We've got a very granitic soil, so it just comes through with those lovely flavour profiles and aromas, and so that was a lovely way to add to the range. And then with the vin de liqueur, we had a friend who had a hobby sort of vineyard in Western Australia, and one time we had a dinner there where they showed their wines, and they finished with a little what he called a ratafia, but and it was this sort of style vin de liqueur, a fortified juice basically, and we just thought it was delicious. So it's basically we pull out some of the free run juice, usually Pinot, but sometimes we use Merlot, and we put it in old oak and fortify it with some wood aged brandy, and it just makes a lovely little. It's sweet, but it has some balance because we're using the juice that we're making wine with, so it's not like late picked or So it's still got balance to it. So, yeah, so it completes the range. We've got some bubbles, we've got beautiful table wines, and then something sweet to finish.
When you use the word complete, I thought that is probably the key word I would explain when visiting Cannibal Creek Wines, because it's very clear that you think about what you're offering to someone that walks through your door. You're in such a beautiful spot where it's quite quiet. And it's very clear that you love hospitality and you love dining, because it is a total experience to come. It's something, as soon as I was there, I thought, I have to get my parents here. They would love this experience. I have to bring my girlfriends here. They would love it. So tell me a little bit about when you set up the winery and you set up the cellar door, what can guests expect when they come by your place?
Yeah, that's lovely to hear. I'm glad that you found it like that, and that's what we wanted always. So, like I said, that little tasting room we had on the winery for 16 years was lovely, and it was very quaint, and people loved it. But I always dreamed of having a beautiful space where we had a commercial kitchen and we could make lovely food, take advantage of the beautiful produce in Gippsland, match it with our wines, and have just a lovely space for people to enjoy. So that was the plan, and in 2015 we began building, and we got this architecturally designed. So it's what we wanted was every table and every spot to have a lovely outlook or a lovely feature to enjoy. So basically when people come, they've got a lovely space, a beautiful country setting. And we offer sort of a range of things, as you were saying. We've got a dedicated cellar downstairs, so people who just want to come and do wine tasting, they can come and do that. And then in the restaurant, we've got a focus on local produce, as I said, food made from scratch. But we offer wine pairings. We also do wine flights, and we can offer museum wines because we've been here 27 years now, so we've got a lot of wines. We can pull things out of the cellar for people to try if they're interested. And we also, in the last couple of years, have started this Cannibal Creek wine experience, which is great. We have A3 of some tasting notes that we've written together. They're a bit of fun. It's not too technical, and we show a range. Usually 4 whites, 4 reds, although there's usually some extra things thrown in there. Someone takes you through the tasting process. There's a lovely little tasting plate that goes with it. So each wine has a matching morsel of food that sort of complements it and brings out all the flavours and aromas. So that's fantastic, and that can be self-guided if people choose. It can be done in groups, or you can just have this one-on-one with someone who's taking you through the wines and, really delve into the style and what Cannibal Creek wines are all about. So it's really, that's a great experience.
I have to agree with you. It's probably one of the more ingenious experience I've had, cellar door. And the reason I say that is because it is a food and wine experience. And that, yes, the wines are matched to the food, but I love that it's a morsel or so, and you can kind of take your time. You could stretch it out and really just enjoy, especially for those people that like to have those relaxed lunches. And I just think that the food showcased the wine so beautifully. The wine showcased the food. It was just really expertly done. And, you're not sitting there with, 4 bowls of pasta and you thinking, oh God, I think I need to lie down.
No, that's right. And look, as you say, you can take your time over it. Usually that would be, about an hour, the people, or longer if they wish. But then people might often grab the menu and think, they want to have something else. It's, and just spend the afternoon. So, it's really, when you come, there's lots of options, and, it's very relaxed, and you can sort of do, what you fancy. There's lots of things to choose from. So,
I've heard that Cannibal Creek has been described as a hidden gem, and I totally agree, because I think that, like you said, you are off the beaten track a little bit. It's quiet. It's a beautiful space. And like you said, you just keep having these new little experiences of wine or the vin de liqueur where you didn't really see coming. And I think it's just one of those places where you want to go back to time and time again. You've done so much, since 1997. When you look back on the history, what are you most proud of achieving in all that time?
Well, I think obviously opening the restaurant and the cellar has been fantastic. I think consistent recognition, in different shows or wine writers, just consistently, if that's really important to us too, because we think we have our style, we have, obviously we have our terroir, and we're now very familiar with making wines here, and that we believe that they're very consistent from year to year, and that's reflected in the third party endorsement, I guess. Things like, we've been making the Melbourne Cricket Club Members Reserve Sauv Blanc for 20 years, and that's been very consistent as well, and I'm very proud, that we've been able to supply that for all those years. That's a few things like those. We've been awarded in the Gourmet Traveller Cellar Door Awards in several years in a row, and including Best Food and Large Cellar Door and Star Cellar Door. That's been fantastic recognition for what we're doing. There's probably two sort of things that stand out. Like in 2014, we at the French Australian Chamber of Commerce show, we got 9 awards, 3 golds, 3 trophies, and wine of the show. I mean, that was amazing. And also WineWise wrote us up a few years ago after we received 3 gold medals, wrote a little article about us and calling us the quiet achievers. And I feel that describes us well. We're not, we're busy doing what we're doing and doing the best, job that we can. And, often you don't sort of get out there as much as you'd like to when you're running these small businesses, but it was really nice to get that recognition from them. But probably most of all, I think these days it's the sustainability that we're, aiming for in the vineyard. We're doing a lot of compost teas. We're not using Roundup. That's been, the compost teas definitely have made that easier too, because we've gotten rid of our capeweed problem, and we've just got better, there's diversity in the vineyard with microorganisms in the soils and everything, and you get better, stronger sort of leaf structure, which is just, means that we're growing the best possible fruit and getting the best possible resulting wine. But it's that sort of thing, the sustainability, and also we invested in the last couple of years in large compost bins. So we're recycling, we recycle, the byproducts of the vintage into the vineyard or into the compost bins, all our cardboard and all that sort of thing. So I think sustainability, as well as obviously the recognition, and just achieving this, having the restaurant and the cellar would sum it up.
I think you can see that in, I was so impressed with your absolutely stunning hemp wall surrounding your fireplace when I was there. And I thought, these are people that are thinking along the lines of their imprint and what they do. But, I have to agree with all those awards that you were talking about, in terms of, I get asked all the time, if they go somewhere, what cellar door should we visit? And it's the kind of experiences from you guys, those quiet achievers, where you are delighted and surprised, and that is the kind of cellar door experience that I want. So I think you are doing an amazing job, and it is such a treat. So keep on keeping on. And Kirsten, I'd love to know finally, what do you love most about Gippsland?
I think, I love it that it's the excellent farming country, and therefore we've got wonderful produce, as I said, but the natural beauty, from lakes, the beaches, forest. That's just a wonderful to be surrounded by it. But also from a wine region perspective, there's lots of beautiful cellar doors that are and businesses that are. They're family owned and operated, and you will often get the winemaker or a family member who's showing the wines and talking about it. And that's really makes a very special experience. So I think just the whole package of, being a bit quieter, it's not so busy and hectic down here, so you can really relax and get out into the country and, enjoy the natural beauty and the gorgeous offerings.
Well, Kirsten, I think you've summed that up really beautifully. If you are out and about, you need to make the trip over to Cannibal Creek Wines. Go and visit Kirsten and Pat and go and drink some of their delicious wines and eat some of their amazing food that they produce. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thanks, Shanteh. It's been a pleasure. Cheers.
Cheers to you. The vast land of Gippsland has everything you could ever want in your glass. And yet the diverse municipalities have their own identity and culture. It's a wondrous land you just have to taste and see to believe. But be warned, you might never want to leave. Visit winegippsland.com to find out more. This is Over a Glass. I'm Shanteh Wale.